I'm Rebecca Jones, the mayor of San Marcos. It's such a pleasure to be here with Zoe today to talk about all things important to the city and then also the kids in the school. So,
great. Thank you for letting us have a little bit of your time today. Because I know your schedule is probably extremely busy, especially with everything going on.
You could say that for sure.
Yes. All right, so our first question is, what is the San Marcos community doing to prevent COVID-19 during this current time?
So one of the things that we did at the city is we have initiated, and this was pretty early on, our HERO program, which is help stop the spread of COVID-19 by getting informed, by following health orders, and just essentially keeping in touch with what's going on, right? And then E, that's H in HERO. And then the E is educate yourself. And that is using factual information, not things that you read on Facebook or Instagram and all of that. It's really having factual information. And so anyway, the R in HERO is remain calm, because if you look around, there are a lot of people that are very excited, and rightfully so, because it is an uncertain time, of course. But, just remaining calm and just, taking it day by day and not going, oh my gosh, it's already been almost 6 months, which, it has.
Right.
And so, that creates a lot of anxiety in itself. And O is opt-in for the city information. So you can opt into our alert system, also the county. And the county has one that's great because it actually sends you a link every day. I'm on that system. And it tells you everything that's happened kind of that day as a recap, and then kind of what's, looking forward in the next few days, if there are going to be any changes.
That's great. That's very helpful, I'm sure, for a lot of citizens who are very stressed out right now with everything.
Yes.
So our second question has to do more with our school, but how do you feel distance learning is impacting the spread of COVID-19 in the San Marcos community now that our school system is doing that right now?
So I think, that's a very complex situation, right? Because you have some kids that, and we have seen the data that it is lower instances of our younger population. And I think, that the district, and I know that they're working on this, now that we're off the watch list and there is a date determined when schools can open up, which is next week legally, which we should always follow the law, as I had mentioned before. So definitely legally. But I think it's important for people to have opportunities and options, right? And so it's not going to fit for everyone. Just like, I'm a mother. I have a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old now.
Oh, wow.
But they're very different in their learning styles. Mm-hmm. I can tell you for certain, my daughter thrives under a distance learning situation. My son, not so much. And so we really have to realize that too. So I think anytime you look at a community, there are going to be varied differences between family to family and even child to child. And so I think having options is important, but also making sure that we are implementing the safety protocols in any situation. You have places like the Boys and Girls Club that have been open for their programs, which are essentially camps, and they haven't had any instances of any infection. So, it can be done. The safety protocols do work. And so I think as far as, whether, the kids are being kept safe or not, I think that definitely distance learning works for that. But I also believe that there could be a hybrid situation where you will be able to create that separation and keep the kids also safe. So again, back to options and opportunities. And, that's what COVID's all about anyway. It's about being flexible, about going with the flow, and figuring out how you move forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Now that we've moved actually back into stage 2, would you like to talk about how San Marcos community has been responding to that now that a lot of less needed institutions such as like bowling things are starting to close back down as stage 2 is re-implemented?
Well, so if you look at San Marcos, we were one of the early cities that actually moved forward with regulations to allow flexibility with our businesses. And so we definitely encourage businesses to remain open using the safety protocols, but moving out and utilizing the outdoors. Now that we are off the watch list, I've been advocating with Supervisor Desmond, Supervisor Gaspar, and the other North County mayors in a manner to move forward, right? And so we have to look at the big picture. The big picture is we can't stay in this sort of a holding pattern for a long-term period. We must figure out how to deal with pandemics. Pandemics are not going to go away. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. There's always disease in our communities, and there's always challenges that come up. And so we've got to figure out safety protocols to be implemented. My school of thought is if we've got protocols that are available and ready to be implemented, we should just be moving forward with those, because we do need to keep people safe, but we also need to, as government, kind of get out of their way as far as not allowing them the ability to, and I'm saying them as in people, the ability to put a roof over their head and also food on their table, because it is a balance. And it can't be one or the other. We can't stay shut down forever. It's not going to work. But we need to be safe about it. And so really implementing those protocols. And I look around and I am literally in awe of our businesses, how they have been so flexible. As soon as the governor said, okay, you can't have these operations indoor, I put my TV on hold because I was watching the conference, and I started reaching out to our supervisors and saying, okay, well, we're ready in the city of San Marcos. We want to move our businesses outside. Can green light on that. So we were doing that very early on. As soon as we heard it, honestly, it was like 12:30 and the press conference is like 12. We were literally
right on it,
so I was reaching out to businesses. Our economic development director was also doing that. We just had staff full force trying to reach out to our businesses to say, we already have this in effect. Give us your plan, but you need to start moving out, and it's a free program. So having that flexibility has been great. But you look at, I don't know if you have been out to San Alejo recently, but you have cycle bars. Do you see how those bicycles every single day? It's such resilience. And I was actually on KUSI a couple of weeks ago, and I said, I have to say, I always say that San Marcos, we were great because of our volunteer spirit and all of that, which we're now calling our spirit of service. I would say there's also a spirit of survival. And that is, do want to stay in business. And so we've really got to figure that part out. But again, I think that we should open all businesses that can apply those protocols. And if we need to make tweaks, let's make tweaks. But we have been able to stabilize the curve as far as the hospitalizations, which is what the shutdown was originally for. So we've got to work on that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that.
That's great. No, I mean, I'm very happy that we got a handle on it before a lot of other cities did.
Absolutely.
So you already talked about the HERO program. Is there any other programs that the mayor's office and you guys in general have put in place in the San Marcos community? And would you like to describe any other programs that you guys have?
Well, one of the first things that we did is we enacted a moratorium on evictions, but they had to be directly correlated to COVID-19. You couldn't already be late on your rent and that sort of thing. But we recognized that it was really a difficult, unprecedented time. And I know everyone calls it that, so I try not to use that term too much. But truly, these are times that I've never seen in my lifetime, and I'm over 50, so I mean, I've never seen anything like this. And so, for us as a city, we really took an approach of how can we best serve our citizens and our businesses moving forward. So the eviction moratorium was for businesses and then also our residents, right? And then the other thing that we did very early on is we worked on, getting information out there, factual information. But we also set aside, and this, I can't take 100% credit for this, though this is my 14th year as being on the city council, my second year as mayor, but I did serve 12 years as a council member. And our city has been so great in planning for the future, right? We save all this money, we have a 40% reserve. And so what we did is we set aside $3 million
Mm,
That was for short-term small business loans.
right. Yeah.
So when other cities and other businesses were looking at, okay, let's try to get some of those stimulus funds, those dollars were not coming in nearly quickly enough to help, kind of bridge that gap between being able to open partially and being close 100%. So
Right.
what we did, we set up this program, and it went by tiers, and it depended on how hard that industry was essentially hit, and then also the term had to do with each business. And so the longest we approved was 3 years, but it was generally right around 2 years, up to 2 years,
Right.
up to $50,000. So we made a lot of loans, and over 100, and I want to say 120 something. But anyway, we were able to take those businesses and provide short-term relief, and we did it pretty quickly. So we spent a lot of time and effort on that. I believe we were the first small city to do that in San Diego County. The first city, we might have been the same time as the city of San Diego, but they had put in, I want to say like 2 million or something like that. We set aside 3 million, and we have a fraction of the population of the city of San Diego.
Mhm.
Then many cities after that were looking to us and saying, gosh, that's a great program. How'd you do it? And so we were helping them too, because, let's face it, you might be a resident of San Marcos, but you might have a business in Carlsbad, for instance.
Very
And
true.
so we really collaborated very well with other cities to help them enact that as well. Those were groundbreaking things that not everyone has done. And, I can tell you many cities throughout the county and the state, honestly, the country didn't have that opportunity because there wasn't steady leadership for so many years.
Yeah.
We had such a healthy reserve was very important, and it's always been very important to me. And so that's how we were able to offer that to our businesses. And a fun fact is we actually were able to, so we got CARES money from the federal government. Some of that was distributed through the state, and some of that was distributed through the county.
Right.
Those were highly, there were a lot of strings attached to those, right? And so we looked at that and we thought, okay, well, some of those dollars, being that they're so restrictive, maybe we could use some of that money to actually grant those funds instead of making them short-term loans. So I'm happy to say that. So tier 1 was the hardest hit sort of businesses. There were 46 businesses that now have a grant and do not have to pay those funds back because we were able to use those CARES funds. And then the rest, tier 2 and tier 3, they've all been reduced by different varied amounts. But I'm so proud that we were able to do that. But, that being said, we were prepared to use that $3 million as a set aside to do that. So we're looking at other opportunities as we receive federal and state funds, CARES monies. How can we also pass that on to our residents? So we're working on a couple of other things right now. So I can't really share that with you yet, but I'm really excited of all the things that we are working on that we will be bringing forward hopefully pretty soon.
That's amazing. Yeah, you guys definitely did a great job in keeping a lot of businesses afloat, because I know that many went under in other cities, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We will have businesses that will go out of business, sadly. But I don't know if you have watched my social media, how hard I've been working, but I work tirelessly to help promote our businesses and our city and a lot of our prosperity. And part of it is being a safe city.
Right.
A lot of people want to live here. A lot of people enjoy their businesses being here because there isn't a lot of crime.
Yeah.
We're the second safest city in the entire county. There are 19 entities, so that's 18 cities plus the county. We're number 2, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
If you look at the state, it's over 400 municipalities, cities, and towns that are incorporated. We're number 25. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting because this is the lowest crime rate that we've ever enjoyed in our history of our city. So the fact that it's gone down 40% in the last 5 years, I'm proud that I've been on the council that entire time. And I've always prioritized safety as one of our governing ideals. And, you know, I just think San Marcos is a great place to have a job, own a business, live, retire in, raise your family. So I'm pretty proud of the work that we've done over all these years.
That's amazing. Yeah. And especially us students are very grateful for the low crime rate as well, because San Marcos High School is the biggest high school in San Diego County. So it's a great place to have our school.
You know, one thing I'd like to mention too is there several years ago, and I don't recall the exact year, but I want to say maybe 2009, the school district came to us and said, hey, you know, we've got budget problems. We're going to have to discontinue the school resource officer program. And I personally said, oh, that's not going to work. We can't have that. And so we've always made that a priority. And to this day, right now there are 4 school resource officers. One is 100% grant funded. And then one is paid for 80% by the district now. But the other 2 are paid for 100% by the city of San Marcos, because we always have prioritized, you know, not only for the safety of the kids, but honestly the teachers also. Right. We don't want the only person that is on a school campus that has a gun as a perpetrator. We want to make sure that we have the opportunity to bring in the sheriff's department and have that school resource officer that can protect our students and our teachers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Thank you. My last question is a little bit more lighthearted, but what advice would you give to students that are participating right now in distance learning or will be heading into hybrid learning soon, and any words of encouragement for them?
Well, okay, so I attended the graduation at San Marcos High School one day, and then also at Twin Oaks Valley one day, and then also over at Mission Hills one day. So literally all I could fit in my schedule, but I'm gonna say to you the same thing that I told them. You know, things don't look the way that you've envisioned. I get that. I 100% understand that. But you know, COVID-19 has taught us a lot, and that is that if you are, if you're focused and you are going to realize that, you know, your resiliency can come out during all of this. Right. These are times that I never had as a teen. I never had to deal with this. I had other challenges, but I certainly wasn't, you know, I wasn't in school during a pandemic. So this is a situation that I don't believe will be long-term. I believe that we're a smart, innovative society, and we will come up with options and opportunities again to help everyone stay together and move forward in this. And that's one of the things that a lot of people kind of want to not discuss, and I think it's so important, is that we're a divided country also. Absolutely. This is not the time to be divided. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I care about your prosperity, and so do most people. And I would say that COVID-19 has really had leaders rise to the top, and that is us moving forward as a collective community of bringing people together. I have never been a divider of anybody, because I believe we all have a contribution into a society. So whether you are someone that works at a grocery store, a teacher, someone that is a millionaire, someone that is literally working at a fast food restaurant, which happened to be my first job that I got paid for. I think we all had one of those. You know, we have to work together as a collective community. We all have a contribution, and I recognize that. So having discussions with people, encouraging others when they're struggling, I tell everyone, find someone that you realize is really struggling and help encourage them. And you know what? Pay it forward, because it always comes back at some point in time where you will then benefit from the good deeds that you've done. I call them random acts of kindness. I like to do that just because, you know what, someone might be having such a horrible day and you might turn their day around 100%. Absolutely. So encourage others, try things that are difficult. Even if you don't feel like you can do it, you can figure it out. And, you know, take this time to appreciate those close to you, and, you know, make new friends. And you can do it virtually, and, you know, be very careful too with social media.
Right.
It's also a time where there's a lot of trafficking out there and a lot of people that are not doing good things online. So make sure you're very careful with that too. But use this time as an innovative kind of pivoting moment. I know that's a little bit overused too, a little bit of a term, but work together and figure out how to come together and encourage one another. I think that'll make a huge difference in us moving forward.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and dedication to our community and school. And this was wonderful. So thank you so much.